South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem is in hot water over her upcoming memoir. Ms. Noem, who is considered by many as a front-runner to Donald Trump's pick for vice president, is now facing allegations that she lied about meeting North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un. And she is also facing heavy criticism for a chapter in her book where she describes killing her dog. What happens next is still unclear, but our correspondent Wyatt Sharpe is sitting down with David Leventhal from Raw Story to unpack the controversy surrounding Ms. Noem's new book.
Hey, thanks, Wyatt. Good to be with you.
Of course, you as well. So, I guess I just want to start out here because Kristi Noem, as I said, was seen at the top of the list to be one of the contenders to be Donald Trump's vice president. But it would seem now that this memoir has been published. I guess she was perhaps thinking people would turn the other way amidst claiming that she met with Kim Jong-un, the most powerful dictator in the world. And of course, it was pointed out to me as well that at the time, Kristi Noem was, low name recognition South Dakota congresswoman who not very many people would have heard of. So it would have been a very big deal if she had have met with Kim Jong-un. So I guess, what does this mean for her VP chances?
Well, you think back to the old adage, no press is bad press, right? Well, this might be a counterpoint to that in about as major way in politics as we've seen in 2024. Hey, look, only Donald Trump knows truly who is on his short list. Only Donald Trump knows who he is going to pick. And indications are that he has a pretty good idea. Let's put it this way. This is not going to help Kristi Noem's chance in any way, shape, or form. Oftentimes people throw around if they think somebody's a bad person, like, oh yeah, well, they probably kill puppies in their spare time. And here the governor of South Carolina or South Dakota, I was just in South Carolina, literally is just saying and admitting in her book there in black and white that, yeah, I killed my puppy. So, Democrats and Republicans both have come out in a major way to denounce this. A lot of people have been stepping back, but not everyone has been stepping back. It's been notable to see that the National Republican Congressional Committee, the California GOP, those are two among several Republican entities that are actually using Kristi Noem's book as a selling point in their fundraisers and kind of doubling down on Kristi Noem as they go forward.
And when I'm watching the various interviews that Kristi Noem has done, and she's asked point blank whether or not she met with Kim Jong-un, because she took it out of the book, but now is not saying yes or no as to whether or not she actually had the meeting. So people are kind of jumping to the fact that she did not actually end up having the meeting there. But would it not just be easier from a political strategy perspective to answer the question yes or no? If it's no, if she did just lie about it to promote book sales or what have you, then just move on, because it seems as if now that question is going to be haunting her as she continues to audition for this position as Donald Trump's VP.
Yeah, and there's a template for people who have written a book and either misremembered a fact or put something out there that was just a whopper. You can think of Hillary Clinton and the book that she wrote back when she basically said, I was under fire. And when she was 20 years before she had said what she did about being in Europe at the time. And so these are types of things where there are different strategies. Absolutely. Kristi Noem absolutely could have come out and just said, hey, look, it was a mistake. I own up to it. And that's part of who I am. I own up to things when I make a mistake or something went wrong. But that didn't happen. And you had these incredibly awkward interviews where she seemed to be on a loop and clearly reading a line that had been given to her by a PR advisor about what had happened there or what had not happened there. And any viewer was basically left to kind of guess for themselves as to whether she met with Kim Jong-un or what the circumstances were for that happening in the first place, definitely raising more questions than were actually answered.
And I watched one of the interviews that the governor did on Newsmax of all places, and even Newsmax, which is known as a very conservative outlet, was pushing back on her quite strongly. What does this say for someone who just a few weeks ago would have been known as this conservative powerhouse, so to speak, and now is being criticized left, right, and center, quite literally, by everyone on the political spectrum?
It shows that Kristi Noem underestimated the firestorm that would come out from several of the points in her book, which is called No Going Back. But this has been an exercise basically for her in going back and having to basically rewrite portions of her book or explain away things that are in there or address questions, very pointed ones from both the left and the right. And she's canceled a couple of interviews, it appears, at least according to CNN and also Fox News, where she was going to go forward on her book tour. And mind you, she's doing this to sell books, that this is what you do.